If you're someone starting the home buying process, but you have bad credit, you're probably concerned that it's going to be next to impossible to get a home loan. But here's the good news. Your credit may not be as big of a roadblock as you think it might be. In this video, we'll talk about all the different options that you have home buying with bad credit and all different ways that you can potentially qualify. But before we go on, make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. This way you'll be the first to know when we put out all of those home buying insights. Are you tired of feeling like your bad credit is holding you back from being able to purchase a home? While your credit score is one of the major factors that a lender does look at when looking to see if you qualify, it's not exactly the only factor, and there are definitely options for still being able to do a home purchase. Here's what I mean. There's different loan programs out there that allow credit scores even as low as 580. There's lots of other things that the lenders also look at outside of that credit score. So let's talk about a couple of those. Number one, income stability. This is probably one of the most major factors because at the end of the day, the bank just wants to know that they are going to be able to collect their monthly payments for the loan that they gave you. They want to know that you're going to make good on the debt that is owed. Ideally, a bank wants to see at least 2 years of income history from the same company. If it's not the same company, they also will qualify you the same way if you're staying in the same industry. If you change industries, they're going to want a lot more documentation on why that income changed or why you made the switch. It's easier to get a loan if you're a W-2 employee. However, if you are a 1099 employee or you're self-employed, they will want to see that you are paying yourself an income and we'll be looking at all of the business expenses that you write off and just make sure that what you are actually reporting, understand that that is the number that the lender will be using in order to qualify you. If you're a self-employed person and you aren't paying yourself a salary, they can usually use bank statements and obviously profitability from the business in order to help that qualification as well. The other thing that they do look at when they're looking at the credit is they want to see if you have a clean credit history. Ideally, the lender does not want to see late payments or no payments done on any accounts. There are lots of different reasons that your credit may not be as stellar as you're hoping that it is, but this is one of the important factors that the bank does take into consideration just as much as they do that actual number. Another term that they look at for qualification is called a DTI, which is a debt-to-income ratio. Your debt-to-income ratio is how much you owe compared to how much you make. So ideally, your housing costs or your cost of your mortgage should not be more than 45% of your gross income. Now let's talk about some of the different mortgage options available, even if you don't have that high credit score. FHA loans are a great option for this. They can lend with credit scores as low as 580. And a lot of times the other benefit to these is that they have very low down payment options as well. There are even some FHA loans that will lend you even down to a credit score of 500. This is where all of those other factors will definitely come into play. Another great option is the VA loans, which are available to veterans and or service members, and sometimes even a spouse of a VA member. It allows you to borrow up to 100% of the purchase price with a zero down payment, and it also offers very competitive interest rates. Both FHA and VA are government-backed loans and are really great resources, especially for those lower credit scores. Has your credit score prevented you from being able to purchase in the past? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, let's talk about a couple other things that you can expect if you're purchasing with a lower credit score. One of them is interest rates. What the lenders and the banks pretty much look at when they're looking to determine what someone can qualify for in their loan is obviously they look at credit, they look at income, and then based on those things as well as other financials that they're looking at, past tax returns, how much you have in the bank, if you have other collateral, how much you have in reserves, then they determine how much risk the bank is taking on by doing that loan. And based on that, they determine what interest rate they can offer to that borrower. So if you have a lower credit score, they view that as a little bit of a higher risk buyer. So you can expect slightly higher interest rates in situations where the credit score may be lower. Now, in some of the FHA FHA and VA loans, you may still be able to get a really great competitive credit score because those are special government-backed loans that you have to specifically qualify for from an income standpoint and or being a service member of the military. So if interest rates are, let's say, at 7%, you may be looking at an 8% interest rate instead to make up for that potential risk that the bank sees that they are taking on. However, the great news with this is that as your credit score improves and or interest rates may adjust, you always have that opportunity of refinancing, a really great way to get your foot in the door and realize that dream of home ownership, and then just working on getting that credit score up so that you can refinance and take advantage of those lower rates. I always feel like it makes sense to talk to a lender individually for each individual situation that a buyer is in. Each of us are different individuals. There are so many moving pieces and so many variables in the equation that it makes sense to really do a deep dive into your specific situation. If you're ready to take that next step towards homeownership, click the link below so that we can schedule a personalized session to talk through all of the details for you specifically. If you found these strategies helpful, give this video a thumbs up, hit that notifications bell, and make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any other great home buying strategies and tips.